What's up, everybody? It's your boy Josh Showtime. Thank you for watching. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. This is Showtime's Fight Forum, where we talk all things fights. Let's get into that nitty gritty. So first things first, man. Happy Black History Month. I know we're already like in the middle of the month, but I haven't done an episode about Black History Month and obviously what it means to me. If you're anti, Black History Month, all this stuff, this ain't gonna be the episode for you, so skip to another one. But, as a Black man in America, the one thing that I'm extremely happy and blessed with is honestly the culture that comes with it. So I thought today's episode would be a dope one where I discuss my favorite Black fighters. Once again, if you don't like it, you ain't gotta watch it. But let's get into it. First, I'm gonna do MMA, and then I'm gonna do boxing. And I'll explain why. When I say my favorite list, this isn't like who I think is the best 5 Black fighters. I'm not doing that. These are my personal favorite to watch. I might like their personalities, things they do outside of it, but these are my favorite guys. So I'm gonna do honorable mention, because it's really hard to do because there's so many. But in MMA, the honorable mention, I wanted to put Israel Adesanya. I wanted to put him in my top 5, but I just couldn't because the other guys are just legends. But Israel Adesanya, I love him because one, he's truly himself no matter what. He's an absolute phenomenal athlete, great dancer, great fighter. I love the fact that he loves anime and he don't care what anybody thinks about it. And he genuinely just enjoys his life. He got so many haters for literally just living his life. And it's kind of sometimes make me think like, is it because he's Black? Because like he just be chilling. Like they hate on this man because he was crew walking at a Exhibit X or Exhibit concert. Who cares? Like I said, I love the dude, man. Big fan of him, and super excited to see what's coming in the future as far as that, his life and that stuff goes. Another one's gonna be Kevin Randleman, a wrestler like me, one of the pioneers for wrestlers and Black athletes in MMA and UFC. So gotta put him up there. So those are my honorable mentions. Now my top 5, let's go ahead and get right into it. I don't want to waste time too much. Let's get it. Number 5, Tyron Woodley. All right. Now a lot of people, not even say a lot of people, there are people who don't like Tyron. People think he's a crybaby, this, that, and the third. But here's the thing, man. I'm a big fan of him because once again, he's a wrestler. Like, I'm very biased when it comes to us wrestlers. But, to make an avenue from wrestling to MMA and then becoming a UFC world champion, then going into different avenues like acting, like a person that wants to act as well, then do some stand-up and do like different avenues outside of just MMA. To just one, show you're a hustler. 2, you're about your business and you're really, really trying to make a life outside of it. Also having, I think he has 3 kids and 3 sons or whatever. And I think he's a really good role model for them as far as hard work, determination. So it's really hard for me, to dislike Tyron. I do think he whines a little bit too much sometimes, but all in all, he seems like a great dude. And obviously he was a great fighter in his prime. So obviously he's going to be my 5. So 5, let's get into it. Anthony Johnson. Rest in peace to my man Rumble. I've already said this several times, the scariest fighter that's ever existed in the UFC, pound for pound. Him and Francis Ngannou and everybody else. I love his stoic and very humble approach to fights. He was always respectful to his opponents, always really nice, but he was an absolute killer in the ring. Always had highlight reel knockouts, and he was a guy that you can look at him and be like, he looks like he can fight, and he literally could. So yeah, number 3, easily. Now number 2 is the GOAT, in my opinion. I'm sorry, I said 2. I'm sorry, 3. Almost went to 2. Almost went to 2. 3, Rampage Jackson. I think pound for pound, he's one of the funniest dudes to hit MMA. That's number 1. 2, the influence. Before I ever cared about MMA, I knew who Rampage was. I didn't know who Chuck Liddell was. I didn't know who Tito Ortiz was. I didn't know who anybody was, but I knew who Rampage was. As soon as he won the world championship, it was a Black man that won the world championship who was like loud like me, who had cracked jokes like me, who had a personality I could relate to. And it was just that, I was just like, bro, I love this dude. This dude is amazing. He's one of the people who got me into MMA, easily. So I had to put him up as high as I could. The other 2 just had more of an impact, but literally like Rampage, what he did in Pride, he was a pioneer for Black people, man. Love Rampage. 2 is gonna be Anderson Silva, my GOAT. I think he's the greatest fighter of all time. I mean, he was a movie theater character. He was my first #1 like fan. I'm a #1 guy that I actually would watch all the time once I was in MMA. He was the type of person your heart stopped when you heard his anthem come out. You heard DMX, Ain't No Sunshine, you just knew like, oh snap, it's real. So he was the only one, he was the first one that got my heart fluttering during his fights because I was nervous if he was gonna win or lose. So yeah, and once again, very nice guy, always like, you know, about his business. Seemed like a family man. I love watching his Instagram videos with him and his sons kickboxing and things like that. Like he's a guy that you can honestly look up to and be like, this is a good dude. And yes, he's still black, even if he's Brazilian. I still count him as black. So if you got a problem with it, shoot fire, don't bother me. #1, it's actually gonna be Daniel Cormier. Now listen. There was a guy that you would say should be a role model, is Daniel Cormier. It is DC. He the embodiment of the black struggle that a lot of people can relate to. I can't relate too much because I didn't grow up, you know, in a impoverished situation, or I didn't grow up with my parents not being there, things like that. But if you don't know the story of Daniel Cormier, you gotta look it up, okay? You know, he has one of the sad stories, but he turned it into an amazing experience, okay? Being a being a runner-up in a national championship, heartbreaking. Guess what? It's cool. I'm gonna go into the Olympics, getting your heart broken at the Olympics, then going to MMA, winning a world championship for Strikeforce, then going to the UFC. Oh yeah, I now have to fight the GOAT. You had to wrestle the greatest of all time, Achilles Anderson. Now you got to fight the greatest of all time, John Jones. Lose, heartbroken. But guess what? He messes up. Now you get a real belt, but then people want to discredit you. What do? Go up to Stipe, knock him out. And then once again, like I said, family guy, always seems like he's in a good spirits, good mood, but he ain't no punk. He'll definitely come at you sideways. Like you come at him sideways, he will fight you. Like the fact that he coached wrestling and gave his check to the entire staff and not himself. There's just so many accolades and so many good things about DC that you just be like, bro, he's just a really good dude. Like, how can you hate him? Like I really like DC. DC is one of the ones that I really would love to meet and like, you know, shake his hand and be like, bro, you're an amazing role model to kids, like amazing. And I love his commentating, even though everybody on Twitter like to hate on him, like whatever. So yeah, that is my top 5 list with MMA. So let's go into boxing. Boxing is more so my favorite guys to actually watch box rather than my favorite fighters or for like the outside reasons. So 5 is gonna be Floyd Mayweather. A lot of people hate Floyd. I love Floyd. I love Pretty Boy Floyd all the way to Money May Floyd. Reason why, simple, plays a tactician. He's a guy that mixed talent with hard work. Absolutely phenomenal what he did. That's why he's undefeated. And he was an amazing businessman. A man made $1 billion in boxing. Started his own business and his own company, started his own promotion company. These are things that you can aspire for and things you can sit here and say, man, this dude's a genius. You can call him, you can say he can't read. The man clearly knows something about making money. I'd rather make money than know how to read a line if that's how y'all going. But #5, easily, Floyd. 4 is gonna be Muhammad Ali. Love watching his fights. Obviously, I didn't grow up watching it because I wasn't born. But, you know, I did YouTube and I watched some of his fights. The man was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful fighter. So, and then obviously the causes and the things he stood for, to sacrifice his prime years to stand for a cause is something that most people in the world wouldn't do. And I mean, the rhyme schemes that not only him, but his camp came up with, his style, like it was just so much about Muhammad Ali. It's just like, bro, come on, like GOAT behavior. That's what he like to call it. I don't think he's the greatest of all time, but he's definitely one of the GOATs. So I appreciate Muhammad Ali for everything that he did, basically in the limelight. #3, Roy Jones. Roy Jones. The man made a rap about the people he beat on. Y'all must have forgot. At the end of the day, man, I shouldn't have to say more. The perfect blend of speed and power, unorthodox style, absolutely crazy, man. Like I really wish I saw Roy Jones in my prime of life and was able to have Twitter, because I know Twitter would go so insane watching Roy Jones fight because it wasn't fair. You just knew them dudes was gonna get knocked out. #2, Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard, in my opinion, is one of the greatest fighters of all time. And not to mention that he's from the same area I'm from. We both grew up in PG County. That obviously jives with me well. He has a boxing gym out there. He had to go through the struggle, but he's one of the guys that came off as a golden boy. The head of boxing, the people that they want to lift up. But that man had a mean streak. He had that dog, like the doggies of dog. Like you think he a pretty boy, he'll knock you out in a second. Perfect blend of speed as well. Speed, and then he had the power to go with it, the crazy footwork, the heart. What he did with Thomas Hearns being down and knocking him out in 15th round. I mean, what was it, 14th, 15th round, whatever round it was. I mean, he's a dog. He's a dog of dog. So I have so much respect for him. I love watching his fights. And the fact that he's still now learning, doing kicks, punches, and stuff like that at the age of 60 is crazy. But number one is my GOAT, the greatest of all time, Sugar Ray Robinson. Guy that barely had any flaws. Chin out the world, could punch you, knock you out with both hands. The dude was absolutely spectacular. Was a businessman outside of it, then also going to become a showman. There's not too many, we're never ever gonna see a Sugar Ray Robinson ever again. And what he did and the records that he broke, it's just ridiculous. So that is my top 5 in boxing. That's my top 5 in MMA. We'd love to hear you guys' top 5 as far as black athletes, for the people who actually, are interested in that kind of thing. But as always, man, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. It is Black History Month, so please stay black. And